Welcome to rSlash Am I the Butthole, where OP's brother knocks up his wife. Am I the butthole for showing no sympathy for my brother and soon-to-be ex-wife after the loss of their baby, and for refusing to let my parents talk to me about it? I'm getting divorced from my wife of a decade. We have 3 kids together, 2 school-aged and 1 preschool-aged child. The last 2 years of our marriage were rough, and I had no idea why. She pretended things were all good when talking to me, but complained about me to her family and friends nonstop. When I told her she could talk to me, she was saying her family and friends were just trying to stir some stuff up, and she wouldn't say I was lazy and ignored her, which was a lot of what I was told. She said that we'd get back to normal once all 3 kids were in school and we had more time for us. Then I found out that she was having an affair with my brother. I found out via my brother's ex-girlfriend, who sent a photo of them kissing outside my brother's place. He broke up with her before the affair was revealed, but he said a lot of stuff about her and how she was paranoid and didn't trust him, and she was proven to be right. When my wife said that she was pregnant, I knew the baby was my brother's, and there was 0 way for me to be the father. She tried to tell everyone she didn't know who the father was, but the 3 of us knew. She knew that we hadn't had intercourse in years. She was using the baby to try and make me more agreeable, but I told her our marriage was over and I filed for divorce. She moved in with my brother and tried to take the kids, but I stopped her because he lives 2.5 hours away, and our school-age kids were not going to be able to make a 3-hour each-way drive to school. Temporary custody was granted to me, with visitation being granted to her. My parents were shocked and angry at my brother when I told them. He tried giving me flack for making our parents go after him and her when she was pregnant. I muted him because I didn't want to hear the BS, but I also wanted to make sure everything in the divorce and custody went smoothly. And I hope to maintain primary custody, so I'll need to show they're better off with me. My parents did end up accepting them as a couple. I said I could understand them not giving up a child and grandchild, but I don't want to hear about them. They said they respected this. A few weeks ago, my wife had a stillborn baby. She and my brother blamed me for all the stress that I put her under. She said being apart from our kids as much as she was the biggest cause of her miscarriage. And she sent a lot of vile texts, and I replied to none of them. My parents came over to tell me about what happened and were shocked that I knew. They asked what I'd said to my brother and wife. I told them nothing. I said I wasn't going to offer any sympathy to either of them after they did the dirty on me and screwed up mine and my kids' lives. My parents tried to talk about the loss of the baby and everything surrounding it, but I shut it down and told them I was not going to be their shoulder to cry on or listening ear. I said my wish not to hear anything about my brother or wife had not changed just because they lost a baby. They left my house angry, and it took a couple of weeks for them to reach out again. They asked if I would be so rude to them again, and I said if they tried to talk to me about this, then yes. They asked if I had reached out to my brother and wife, and I said no. They told me they hoped to see me at the service, and I told them that wouldn't happen. They said I didn't need to become such a cold-hearted monster, and times like these is where you put away the hate. I don't agree, but I'm willing to entertain that maybe I'm wrong. Am I the butthole? You know, if you think about it, they wouldn't even want you there because, according to them, you're the cause of the miscarriage, which is ridiculous. Not miscarriage, stillbirth, excuse me. You know, if you think about it, OP shouldn't come to the service anyways because, according to the brother and ex, it's his fault that the baby was a stillbirth. Never mind that they cheated and put themselves in the middle of a lot of drama, so it's actually their fault. Those 2 are a toxic, awful mess. And if I were in your situation, OP, I would never be under the same roof with them for the rest of my life. You get 0 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for not wanting to be my ex's caretaker? My ex up and abandoned our family several years back to live his truth. I'm not saying what this truth is, past that it involved a lot of random, unprotected intercourse. That was way more important to him than our 3 children. He did not pay child support. He didn't even acknowledge the children most of the time. He worked under the table and did OF and CB, which I think stands for OnlyFans and Chatterbait. That way, he made sure that he didn't have to support the children that he helped create. Needless to say, our two eldest hate him, and our youngest doesn't even remember him. He reached out to me recently to tell me that the karma train had run him over. He's acquired a terminal sexually transmitted disease from his time as the community chew toy. He showed me proof of his diagnosis. Now he wants to come home, spend what time he has left with the children, and he wants me to be there when he passes on. He said, "Now isn't the time for I told you so's." I think that he's being ridiculous. With new medication, you can live a long time with that diagnosis. Besides, why should it fall on the children and I to sweep up another mess that he made? He thinks that the children will regret not getting to spend time with him while there's time to be had. OP isn't saying what the STD is. My guess is that it's AIDS. And if that's the case, then yeah, medication makes that super manageable nowadays. Then OP posted an update. I talked to the two older kids. I told them that Dad was sick and wanted to reconnect. Our eldest laughed and said that she thought he deserved it. Our middle child said that she doesn't want to speak to him. Our youngest was 1 when my ex bounced, so he's just a concept to her anyways. Yeah, I'm not bringing him back around the kids without a court order. I didn't send him this post, but he already called me this morning to yell about it, so someone did. He claims that there's a secondary health issue that the HIV will make worse, so he'll need help. I was right, it is HIV/AIDS. Also, he's claiming that HIV automatically qualifies you for Social Security income and that he's going that route and he won't be a financial burden. Well, he won't be anyways because I'm not letting him in. Then another update. I told my ex that I wasn't going to force the children to have anything to do with him. His response was, "Fine, I still need you though." I wish I could figure out a way to attach a screenshot because my flabbers were gasted at the open audacity. And then another update. I gave him one phone call before I blocked him, mostly to see what he'd say. He admitted to exaggerating his situation. He has a lung issue that might become cancer in the future if he doesn't stop vaping and smoking. He's already on the meds to get his count down. He literally said that he wants to be babied. That someone as good-looking as he is deserves to be babied. He also acknowledged that he can't keep a job. Apparently, he had a job at a McDonald's outside of Pittsburgh recently, and it didn't even last a month. So, in his words, he wasn't dodging child support so much as he is incapable of paying it. He also whined that all he has to offer anyone is intercourse, and now that's been taken from him. His parents have disowned him. His brothers won't speak to him. Oh, and he says he doesn't care what a bunch of internet strangers think, but then whined that I shouldn't talk bad about him to internet strangers. When he told me to stop taking a tone with him, I told him that any further contact can be through the courts, and I blocked him. This was draining. This was cathartic. To the buttholes calling this fake, I hope you never experience an ex as bad as mine. OP, I don't even know why you felt the need to post on Reddit. Your ex is just a parade of red flags. This is one of the easiest 0 out of 5 buttholes of my life. Am I the butthole for not siding with my wife over our son's ex-girlfriend's pregnancy? Our son, who just turned 16, has a girlfriend who's almost 17, but they broke up about a month ago. About 3 weeks ago, we were informed by her parents that she's pregnant. She's slightly showing. The dates line up with my son's relationship. My wife and I went into full panic mode. We waited a couple days before telling our son, who didn't know. He immediately said, "It's not mine. I never screwed her." I don't believe him as I know that he's active. He did the sensible thing and asked me for protection. However, he kept on saying they never did it. He said he cheated on her. I had a heart-to-heart with him, and he's an absolute shithead, but I began to believe him. He said he always wraps it up, and he's asked for restocks. My wife, on the other hand, still didn't believe him. Both families met. My wife started the conversation just accepting that our son is the father and was trying to find out a solution, funding, etc. My son spoke up saying that it's not his baby as they never had intercourse. He was genuinely angry. Then he made a comment that I'm going to rephrase. Apparently, they only ever did a certain act which cannot result in a baby, and it was unsatisfactory, so he never went any further with her. He's an absolute shithead, and we raged at him over it. His ex-girlfriend admits that they rarely did it, but explained the event, and I will say that it was believable too. I know my son's a complete liar. I know he's an absolute dog, but I believe him still. My wife, however, is angry with me for playing into his nonsense. She said that I'm part of the boy culture. She said children born to teen parents are more likely to be teen parents, and we were both 17 when my wife got pregnant. She said that I'm worsening the situation by not living in reality, and she's left to figure out what to do on her own. To her point, I'm hands off on further meetings with the other family. I don't believe we should have discussions until it's proven that he's the dad. Honestly, I think OP and the wife are being unreasonable here because she's believing the woman without real evidence, and OP's believing the guy without real evidence. Seems like the sensible, level-headed thing to do is just wait for a DNA test. According to Google, you can do a DNA test as early as the 7th week of pregnancy. So if she's showing, then she should definitely be eligible for this. So just take the test to see who the father is and then figure it out from there. Am I the butthole for being willing to end my marriage because I refuse to uproot my kids from their life to follow my stepkids? My wife and I have been together for 4 years, married for almost 2. We both have kids. My daughter is 11 and my son is 9. We lost their mom when they were younger. My wife had been divorced for many years and shared custody of her 15 and 16-year-olds with her ex until a few months ago when he was granted permission to move to another state with their kids because their kids wanted to go with their dad. My wife doesn't want to be away from her kids for long periods of time, and she's told me she's moving. She feels like she needs to be near her kids. I support this. But I will not move my kids away from family, friends, and stability to do this. My kids don't want to move either. They heard my wife mention it several weeks ago, and they told me they don't want to leave. They'd miss everyone too much. I already know the life my kids have here is what they need and where they thrive. I explained this to my wife, and she was defeated. She told me we can't make a marriage work if I'm here and she's there. And I said I agree, and I told her I believe the best way forward would be to divorce. She was upset by this, of course, and we talked and I comforted her, and she asked me if there was anything she could say or do to make me reconsider. I told her I will not move my children, and I would never ask her to be apart from her kids for months at a time. I said we're both committed to the best interests of our individual children, and that means doing what's right for them even if it's not right for us as a couple. She asked for us to talk some more, and we have. We talked about it extensively. But all the while, she's been making arrangements for a place where her ex and kids now live and a new job. I think she believed that I would change my mind the more we discussed everything, but I have not, and now she's angry that I would rather our marriage end than move so we can all be together as a family. But I know that's not what's best for my kids. OP, you can never be a butthole when you put your kids first. I think this is a very responsible and adult decision you're making here. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. That was rSlash Am I the Butthole, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.